Hammer Down Racing Report. And now your hosts, Scott Hammer and Ron Miller.
Welcome, race fans, to the Hammer Down Racing Report for May 11th, show number 280.
I can't believe we've had that many shows.
You say that every week,
and
though.
We're this far into May already.
Okay, yeah, it is. It's nice out.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Haven't got much racing in it yet this year, but...
but it's nice weather.
Scott Hammer, Ron Miller coming at you live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter from the John Young Racing for First Responders Dave Kemmer's studio. Tonight on the show, we have an interesting one. This one could be interesting.
I'm thinking.
I know what happens in part of it, but tonight we're going to talk to Rusty Schlenk, late model driver, about what constitutes a good or bad slide job, how to execute one. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we'll let the cat out of the bag because when we play it, it'll be obvious. But we talked to Rusty about, we'll say, half hour ago, 45 minutes ago. So just a little bit ago, we had something for his son, so he couldn't be on live. But we just talked to him. It was an interesting conversation about that. Definitely stay tuned to that.
His son Carter is, not only is he a really good race car driver for as young as he is.
Sixth grade. I didn't realize he was in sixth grade, and he's already won a feature race last year.
In the fifth grade.
In a sportsman, yeah. Tylar Rankin, sprint car racer. He's waiting in the wings. We'll be talking to him just a little bit, fresh off picking up the opening night win at Butler this past Saturday night. So looking forward to that. And we got some pizza to give away from Big D's Pizza. The Hammer Down hotline was on fire this week. Lots of texts and calls.
That's a good thing.
We'll be checking that out a little bit later. And we even have some racing news to get to and a lot of results. We had racing this past weekend.
We did.
At most tracks. So, speaking of racing at tracks this weekend, Oakshade Raceway, we're the fastest meet to race. They plan to kick off the season once again. I didn't get a call from Pam before the show tonight to find out
that's a good thing.
Yeah, so I think we're all good on this. It's going to happen Saturday night.
No breaking news.
No breaking news for that. But season opener. Hopefully, Mother Nature cooperates tomorrow. Though we'll have the weekend weather pit stop forecast as well coming up. Tomorrow could be a little iffy, but it sounds like things are getting better for Saturday. And that's when they're going to have their opener, 2,000 to win, the Oakshade Attica Late Model Challenge Series, highlighting that along with the Sportsman Compacts and Dominator Superstocks. Can't forget them. And if you want to find out all the events scheduled this year at Oakshade Raceway, check out oakshaderaceway.com. Also got to check out Big D's. Give them a call right now. Big D's Pizza out in Clyde, 419-547-1444. You could order online at orderbigdspizza.com. Check out the new chicken cordon bleu sandwich with ranch or honey mustard for only $6.99, and that chicken parmesan meal featuring chicken parmesan with spaghetti, salad, and dressing, and a breadstick. I like their breadsticks. They're really good. Yeah. Just $9.75 out there. Big D's in Clyde, big on taste, not on price, and I believe they're hiring. They're looking for delivery drivers quite often.
Seems to be a common thread, Scott.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of places looking for help.
We can talk about that now too. Do we have any truck drivers in our audience?
Yeah, I'm sure we do.
I do. I just started a new job, and it's for a bunch of companies, and one of the main companies is Revive Transportation.
Right.
Transport. Flatbed truckers. They need flatbed truckers. They could start tomorrow. Good pay, just need 2 years minimum experience.
Scott has some phone numbers you could probably start tonight.
CD, you just need a Class A CDL.
And a good record.
Yeah, clean record, and you can make some good money. Hit me up after the show, and I can hook you up with the details. I'll get you the inside thing. You can work at the same company as me. So, and yeah, it's a good place to work.
Would that be a perk?
They could,
working at the same company.
I am actually in the same building as them, but
Scott
yeah.
Hammer.
Yeah, that could be.
Be still my heart.
But they'll be out driving, most likely.
They could see you
I think I think they come in way earlier before I do. I could be wrong, but yeah, if you're looking for a job, you can drive. You have 2 years flatbed truck experience. Contact me after the show, either on Facebook or you can even get a hold of me on the Hammer Down hotline. What's that number?
419-318.
See if you remember
3081.
I think you're right. Yeah, that's impressive. I didn't even 318-3081. Also, DCR Graphics. They do full wraps. You can still get those starting at just $350. You need a wrap for your sprint car, your late model, whatever, your stock car. They do it. They specialize in banners, stickers, die casts, and T-shirt designs. And I was actually thinking I need a new T-shirt design myself, but like the little die cast up there on the monitor, you can get one of those custom made for your late model or super stock, whatever. And don't forget to order your official Hammer Down Racing Report window stickers.
Please.
$5 to get that mailed out to you. Or he will give it to you at the track if you're out at Oakshade. Call or text Dale at DCR Graphics, 419-308-9523. If you missed that number, it'll be scrolling down at the bottom of the screen at some point here. And you can also check him out at Facebook, at facebook.com/DCR.
And Dale Cole has a really good-looking race car this year.
Yeah, he does. He's got we shared
like
that on
it.
our Facebook page. He's got a nice front end on it. So, cool stuff. Where'd Ron go? Oh,
I don't know. What do you do with me?
oh, there you are.
Oh,
We're switched, though. So, before we get to our racing roundup and all the action that happened last week, I still have to mention freeze frame photos, Ron Miller Race Cars, and Headhunters Barber Studio and Salon. Let's bring up our first guest, Tyler Rankin. We'll talk to Rusty a little bit later on. So here's you fixed it.
I fixed it. It was all my fault.
modern technology. Wow.
Yeah, you weren't filling the full box there, but now everything's good. Tyler Rankin, welcome to the show. Congratulations on the win Saturday night at Butler. How many wins do you have out at Butler?
I believe that is number 5. I'm pretty
All
sure.
in
5
all
or
in-
6.
All in 410s?
Yep.
So you're on top of the points right now. Congratulations on that.
Well, it's something, that's for sure.
It's-
we don't
it's a
plan on running the
start.
points out there, so that's where
Aw.
it's. We plan on running the GLSS points, and which technically we're running the NRA points and
Sure.
trying to do the tour deal that covers both series.
Yeah, we've had Barry Marlowe on a couple of times, and it sounds like it's going to be a good season.
It's been pretty interesting so far. It was nice to kind of get out of the general region and go down to I-75. We matched up with the USCS group down there, and it was quite a bit of fun. It was a little unique, so
Down
it was
in
nice to
Tennessee?
get off the porch.
How'd you do down there?
So we did really well and had really bad luck. So it was a good equal of both of them at the same time. We led on Friday night and had a flat tire, and then had some troubles on Saturday in a heat race, and then made it all the way up to 6th in the feature.
All right.
But we had a really fast car both nights that I think we could have contended for
But you
wins
finished.
both nights. Yeah,
And,
we
the,
did
and the
finish.
car and the car rolled up in the trailer. That's always a good night.
Yeah, on Friday we came from, I think it was like 22nd or whatever, all the way up to, I want to say 11th or 12th after having a flat tire. So,
Well, before we get too much into to the racing thing, I have a non-racing related question for you. Are you into hockey at all?
I am not. I played football when I was in high school, but that's been about it. Racing takes a lot of time anymore.
Well, let me ask you this: do you have anybody in your family you're related to named Evan? Evan Rankin.
Don't.
Oh yeah, never mind. He's a
No,
legend
there's-
in Toledo, at least, on the Toledo Walleye.
There's a lot of people that ask me if I'm related to other Rankins, and I know none.
Okay, fair enough. All right, back to the racing thing.
Enough hockey, Scott.
How I'm assuming then the Butler win was your first win of the season.
Yep.
How-
That was the first one of the season.
How big is that for you this year to start off with a win?
Well, it helps. We had some struggles on Friday night, and I would say about the easiest thing was to back it up with a win and kind of brush the salt off the wounds for the weekend.
Friday night you were at Limaland?
Yes, so we had a very interesting night. We were trying some stuff, and we just didn't end up where we needed to be.
I heard that it was a very challenging racetrack at Limaland.
Yeah, we ran Lima about 6 or 8 times last year, and it was nothing like it. It was super slick, and then it was rough in turn 4. So
Yeah.
So you run both the 410 and the 360. You got two separate cars. Do you have a preference as to which you run?
Well, I started running the 410 stuff, so my heart's always been with the 410. I seem to run pretty good in the 360 stuff. We got, I believe, two track records with the 360 stuff, so that helps kind of lean my interest towards it. But we, I prefer the 410 stuff over the 360.
Obviously, the 410 has more horsepower.
Yes.
How vast is the difference between the 410 and the 360?
Well, our 410s and our 360s all come from Shark Racing engines out of Washington, and they have really high horsepower in both of them. So it makes the transition quite easy when it goes from a 410 to a 360, just because the 360s do have a lot of horsepower. When I first drove for drag, the 410s I was running at the time, it was a pretty easy transition because it almost felt like the same motor between our 410 that we were running and the 360s that he has.
Now you mentioned Greg Wheeler. That's who you run for. How long have you been running for him, and how'd you get together?
So I've been officially running for him since the beginning of last year. I had ran two races for him back in 2020, I believe it is. We it kind of always joked with each other, and had light conversations and so on and so forth. And after a Plymouth race with the World Outlaws, we really started talking, and he had an open show that the driver he had running for him wasn't going to run, and it was back at Plymouth, and we went and ran one race in the 360 for him and set track record and won. We came really close to winning the heat race and made it all the way up to second in the feature, and the frame on the car broke, so we dropped pretty hard and was able to fight up a little bit, but it was some pretty promising night, but nothing ever really came of it because of the frame being broke. But
all right, personal preference, wing or non-wing?
I've always ran wing sprint cars. I did run some midget stuff. I do have a small part in my heart for the midget stuff. That's what really kind of got me going into the big cars. So I've just never ran the non-wing stuff. I've kind of had some interest, but I don't know to what level I had interest or have interest in doing it. But I really love the wing sprint car stuff.
Sure.
So how'd you get started in racing? Did you start in midgets, or did you start even like earlier in go-karts, or what's your
midgets?
History? Yeah.
So
many avenues anymore.
Quarter midgets are a handful. But I did start when I was 5 years old in a go-kart and did that till I was about 11. I had a little bit of a gap in my racing till I was roughly about 14. And then I drove for Marv Carmen about 8 races and the pavement asphalt stuff, wing stuff. And then from that point, I went back to go-karts because that's all I could afford myself to do it. And then I believe in 2018, it makes sense, about 2018, I got a midget, struggled immensely with that, and then got the opportunity to go run my grandpa's stuff in that same year. So
where were you running the midget at?
Montpelier, Gas City, down around there. I used to live down that way for a little part of my life.
Okay, so what would you consider the biggest win of your career so far?
So far, the biggest win of my career, it really, big car wise, it would be the John Reeves Memorial there at Butler last year at the end of the year. It was for like $3,000, I believe it was. So that was a pretty big deal, and it was kind of a dogfight. Everybody kind of messed up a little bit in that race, and I just ended up prevailing in the end. But I would say a close second is we used to run the go-karts down at the Fort Wayne Coliseum for the Rumble. Right. And I won a cage kart feature down there, and I would say that's probably the hardest race that I've ever had to run and end up prevailing on the other end of it.
Why do you say it's the hardest? Competition or the track itself?
Everybody's so close, and there was 45 go-karts that night in our one class, and you got to be on it all weekend. And to run good, you got to have good tires, you got a good setup, you got to not make mistakes and not have anything fail. And it was a very hard task, especially at that early stage of my career that I didn't have the knowledge like what I do now. I mean, I don't know what I would do in a go-kart now. I mean, I'm a little bit bigger than what I was then, so I probably wouldn't go so well. But it was a really challenging part, especially I didn't have a whole lot of people around me at that point that had knowledge. So that's why I kind of chalk it up to be one of the hardest races that I've won so far.
So you're based in Coldwater, Michigan now. Do you consider Butler then your home track? I know you race all over the place.
So I grew up in Coldwater, and I currently live in Angola, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
But
Why don't you race at Angola then?
I don't have pavement stuff. So no, I consider Butler to be a home track. It's been a track I've had the most laps on, and it's the most familiar I am with any racetrack around the area.
Any desire to get in a late model? A
Dirt
dirt late model?
A dirt late model. I would say I would not turn away an offer to run one, but I don't know if I would want to run it on a full-time basis. I mean, it's kind of a large commitment to something you don't know anything about.
I meant more like a Kyle Larson kind of thing where you just jump in anything.
Well, I think it's a good thing to jump in other things. I know that down at the Rumble now, we run a 600 down there, so it makes it a little bit better to get in other types of cars throughout the year. I just don't get a whole lot of opportunities to run, like micros or late models or anything to that extent. Not that I would turn down the opportunity. I just
Does your dirt experience translate to anything when you go to someplace like the Rumble? I mean, it's totally flat and it's
Pop syrup.
Outrageously sticky.
Soda syrup, yeah.
Yes and no. Yes, to the extent that the G forces that you feel inside the car are really similar to hauling it in a corner with a wing sprint car, and
All right.
it's sticking. Other than that, like I feel like the go-kart stuff pertains a lot more. The
Sure.
knowledge I've gained from that towards the 600 stuff indoors at the Rumble, but any racing whatsoever, I feel like helps in any other form of racing.
Sure.
It's not. Some things don't translate as far as setup or the way things you do inside a car, but laps are always a huge thing.
So how many different tracks have you raced at,
Well,
approximately?
at one point in time, I was keeping track, but last year was kind of a hard to keep track. I hit a lot of new racetracks last year running for Greg, and I would say we're up around the 20 range, if not more than that. It's kind of hard to calculate it just because of all the go-kart tracks that I've went to, and with all the sprint car stuff, it's kind of hard.
Gotcha. Just considering the sprint car tracks that you've raced at, which would be your favorite?
Well, I would say a very close second was I-75. I think it was a really, really put together racetrack and was super smooth, probably the smoothest I've ever seen personally in my own eyes. But my favorite was, we only ran it one time last year, but that was Wayne County. I think Wayne County has a really interesting layout, and it makes a driver have to show up and be good and patient and all the above all at once. I think it's a really well put together racetrack.
Just speaking of putting together things, Tim Wilbur up there at Butler made some changes to the track, I guess, during the off season, kind of widen things up. Did that help the racing this past weekend? Could you tell the difference at least?
It was a loaded question. I'm gonna get the cat in here.
I didn't mean it to be loaded. I wasn't trying to get at anything.
Right. No, I would say it has quite a bit of options to be a better concept.
Okay.
In short terms.
So you're being politically correct. I got you.
I guess a lot of tracks opening night this year seem to have a lot of character. To borrow a phrase from some of the NASCAR guys, they try to be politically correct.
Yeah, Attica had some character their first opener. Then I feel like every track so far this year has had their own little bit of character in a way. I take the racetrack as its own little deal up at Butler, but in the end, everything he's putting together and everything he's adding to the place is definitely making the experience to be there a lot better than what it has been in the past.
And to speak up for the racetrack, since they don't have a voice here tonight, they have been dealing with a very wet spring, so
Oh yeah, most
kinda,
definitely.
yeah, that kind of messes things up for them. So what plans or goals do you have for the rest of the season? I know you mentioned running the GLSS, just the NRA portion. You trying to get both divisions there, overall championship, or what?
So the way that their format set up is there's about 3 or 4 conflicting races between GLSS and NRA, so you can't really run both I mean, you could if the rain played exactly the way that it needs to, but it just, the way they have it set up, you kind of pick or choose whether you're running the GLSS, like the North deal, or you run NRA, which is more of the South uh, division, and you race one or the other to be a champion of that series, and then you can run everything that you can that's racing as far as 360 wise, and you could potentially be the tour championship person. And
So what's the cat's name?
my cat's name is Hoosier.
Hoosier. All right.
Nice.
Well, as long as he's going to get some camera time, we might as well know his name.
He is a hoot. We got him last year after the races. He kind of wandered up, and he's been a pain in my side ever since.
Nothing wrong with that.
A racing fan cat, though.
Yeah, and our dog is named Maxim. So
I
we
see.
we have a whole lot of names of parts and cars and everything you can think of as far as for our pets. That's been kind of the goal.
So your goal then is to what's your primary goal for the season? Is it the NRA championship then?
Yeah, I would say as far as championship wise, that's the NRA is going to be our initial focus. I mean, we got this weekend at I-96 that still allows us to be able to pick or choose to go north or south. But then the following weekend they're at Hartford and Lima on Friday. So you get one weekend to figure out if you really suck in one or the other and then pick from there. But our initial thoughts is to run the NRA deal.
Are you planning on running Butler again Saturday night?
Yep, that's the plan so far. As long as rain stays away, we
Fingers crossed.
find it a little bit easier for the races that don't have anything really heavy going around, in the area, that we get back to Butler and see the fan base, and it makes it easier sometimes for me too, because my wife runs a 410 sprint car up there too, so it gives me a few races that I can be around her stuff.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but before we get to that, if you happen to win Saturday night, would that maybe change your mind as far as maybe change focus a little bit and run for a Butler championship, or would that are you committed to the NRA thing?
It's kind of hard to make that decision to go run that for points, especially with the pay that they put out every night, and then what they pay at the end of the year. As far as a championship, if it was, $5,000-6,000 to win a championship and was paying like $2,000 to win every night, then I think maybe it would make it a little bit easier to shift focus.
So you got to go where the money is.
Well, you got to go where you don't end up in a hole or a crater, I should say, at the end of the year. A hole is everybody's in a hole, but craters hard to dig yourself off from.
Speaking of a hole, you're not. You run your car, or you run a car for Greg Wheeler, but you're also a car owner that, as you mentioned, that your wife races. How did that? Tell us how that came about and how that's going.
Well, so it's a car ownership kind of partnership with my wife. I can't totally take complete ownership role of it, but I like to say that I am. But how that kind of came about is she got out of the military and came back and started running some go-kart stuff that I had laying around still, and she just continued to progress with it. So we stepped her up to a lightning sprint, and it made more sense at the time to put the money into a sprint car and have her run the sprint car stuff when I was running at Butler, and now it's kind of in the same boat we were when she was running a lightning sprint and I was running at Butler. We're kind of separated. The original goal was to be able to run together and kind of be around each other a little bit more, but she has some people behind her this year that are making my job a little bit easier, and I don't have to be as devoted to her stuff on a every week basis and every weekend basis.
So when you're down in Ohio, she'll still be racing up in Michigan?
Yep. She has a few people that are committed all year for her race car. There's 3 of them, and they basically took on the task of being her crew when I'm not around, and even when I am around, like I try to be as very hands off as I can so they don't mess up what they're doing.
And what's her name?
Shelby Rankin.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
How did she do at Butler last week?
Well, we had a new car out for her, and some of the parts that were on it weren't exactly the correct parts. So
no.
I mean, like a pitman arm. We had a short pitman arm that kind of helped her last year, and it really needed to be a long pitman arm.
Slowed the steering down too much.
Yeah, it really, really slowed the steering down for her, and when she would really go to correct something, she didn't have enough movement in the front tires. So.
Now, do you race head to head with her? And if you do you race her a little differently than everyone else?
So I guess the best way I can put that is last year was her first year doing the sprint car stuff, and she had a 360. So a lot of times when I was racing around her, it was during lap traffic, which it's hard to say it that way, but I still, I still feel like I race her like everybody else. There's a little bit more caution in it, I would say, in the back of my head, just because, if
you'd hate to be
that's
that
your
guy.
car.
You'd hate to be the
we
guy that
collect
dumps
together.
his wife.
Yeah, we collect together, then I'm paying for her stuff, and then Greg's paying for my stuff, and in the end of the day, we're all, paying for something, and it just makes it a little bit more of a financial problem. And then I probably end up sleeping on the couch too.
I was going to say, could be a tough night sleeping on the couch. Absolutely.
I wanted to get your opinion. We're going to talk slide jobs here a little bit later, and Rusty Schlenk, the late model driver. But from a sprint car driver's perspective, what would you consider a perfectly executed slide job, and what would you consider a slide job gone wrong?
So a perfectly executed slide job, in my sprint car terminology, is where you just get enough momentum to just miss their front end, enough to break their wing air and stall them out. Like, I feel like in wing racing, that's the main goal, like to get them so they don't cut back down underneath you. You steal the wind off them, and I would say that's like a perfect executed slide job.
So in a sprint car slide job, aero is a big deal.
Yes, it's huge. And really, like with the new tires that they have out now, I think it's a even bigger task to keep in clean air.
Now, so as long as you don't make contact with that car, then that's a clean slide job.
Yes. Well, I think as long as you don't touch them, it's a clean slide job, but a perfectly executed one is where you make them
where they can't cross over.
Check up or crossovers, so on and so forth. That you got to have something to break their rhythm. I feel to be a perfectly executed slide job.
And how hard is it to execute a slide job in a sprint car? Without overshooting and getting up into the wall or going over the berm if there's no wall, or not getting enough momentum and having nowhere to slide up.
Well, racetrack, because there's some racetracks you just can't do it, or you can, and it's extremely hard. I think it's all about the entrance and how much momentum you carry to the apex of the corner, and then from apex out, judging how much speed you have and whether you need to wing the car over a little bit harder to slow yourself down, because you can't really get after the brakes, or then you run the risk of them coming back up to you and collecting.
So would you consider yourself a slide job expert?
With the area that we're in, it does not promote a lot of side jobs. So you don't get a whole lot of work at it. So I've done them. Expert, no. Decent at doing them, probably.
I'm assuming midget would have been a little bit easier to do slide jobs in.
I think the midget racing around this area has a lot of conducive slide jobs.
Okay.
Sure.
I think it's truly, I feel like this area is, well, Indiana area, I should say, is an extremely well put together midget format, platform, or whatever it should be called.
Well, before we let you go, I want you to give a shout out to your sponsors.
Okay. So we have one that's kind of been around with us for a very long time, and that's Flint Trucking. And then we have one that came on this year. It's new finish, powder coating, and sandblasting out of cold water. And then we have Sterling Express, quality diesel performance, numerics. We have, Canopies R Us. We have, man, it's put me on the spot. So we have a tobacco place up in Fremont that we have sponsored us.
Fremont, Indiana, yeah.
No, Fremont, Michigan.
Fremont, Michigan.
No.
Oh my goodness, there's too many Fremonts.
Yep. Native Trails Tobacco. I'm so sorry for them. I forgot. It's hard to put everything together. But no, we have a lot of really good people that come on board, and there's another one that's been around with me for a very long time, and that's his name is Brian Wilson. He owns BW Trucking, and he's been around. He helps with her stuff too. But we have a lot of really, really good sponsors and way more supporters with parts and stuff like that I could ramble on for forever. But
Those
really
are important.
Yeah, you can't do it without them, especially if you don't get deals on parts, and stuff's just extremely expensive anymore. But no, it's just with everybody, even if I forgot anybody, they're what makes everything happen and have gotten me to the point that I am right now, and I can't thank them enough. So
a few minutes ago, you talked about Hoosier tires, and are they better or worse than last year? We know they're significantly more expensive.
yeah, I would say the price range for our tires, I don't think have changed a whole lot. I think they kind of helped us out a little bit on the left rear game as far as price.
Right.
Quality of them, I don't see as variant of tires coming out of it where before, like depending on if they produced them that week and you got them that week, or if you got one that's been sitting around for 3 months. I mean, it really made a difference of what you did with the race car.
Right.
Now I feel like they got that kind of controlled where you're getting more of a consistent flow or a consistent tire to race on. Go ahead.
I know that's okay. I know that the right rear can be flipped now. You could reverse rotation on it. Has that helped anything, or were you doing that before? I've talked to some guys that even when they had the kind of directional tire, they were still flipping them.
So I think what we did last year, we did a lot of tire flipping. We actually ran new tires backwards a lot. Just the way that the tread pattern was, I felt like at some racetracks helped cool the tire a little bit better.
Really?
So we ran the tires backwards quite a bit last year, and I think it really helped what we were doing for this year because the tires are non-directional this year and there's no camber to them. Well, last year we were running them backwards where we were reverse on camber. So the loss of grip that the tires have now because there is no camber, I think it really helped promote us to be a little bit better this year with running the tires the way we did last year.
So this weekend's plans, I-96 Friday, Butler on Saturday?
Yes, yep, that's our plans for this weekend, unless rain detours us somewhere else.
And
All right.
your wife?
She is committed to running Butler all year long, so she'll
All
be
right.
running for the championship, and she's going to get the opportunity to run for Rookie of the Year also up there.
I'm thinking she'll pick up a few fans after talking about her.
I really hope so. The way that her car is put together, we did it a little bit different than a lot of people. One side of her car is blue and one side of it's pink, so it gives it a really cool look. And I feel like, given that she gets a little bit more people to kind of follow her, I think a T-shirt would be absolutely insane looking
Sure.
for her.
Nice. Well, one thing about our guests is a lot more than half the time. We'll say that at this point that they go on and win their next event after being on the show. So tomorrow night.
Well, I really hope so.
996. Yeah, no pressure or anything.
Well, the only reason why I say that, I really hope so, is because every other podcast I've been on previous to now, we've really sucked into the next time we go out. So I hope this is a
we never
turnaround.
do that. We never do that to our racers.
Oh, no.
Well, the last one that I was on, we went down to Little Rock, Arkansas, and I absolutely destroyed a race car down there. So
That's a long tow to mess a car up.
especially when you're planning on racing 3 nights and the only thing you did not take was a frame, and it absolutely destroyed it. So there was no cobbling it together and making it work the rest of the weekend, which that one crash kind of derailed our whole program for the end of the year. We were going to do the stuff down there in Little Rock for the ASCS, and then we were going to go over to West Memphis, or Memphis, I should say, and run that flip-flop 50 with the USCS. But we destroyed a car, and we decided that we should regroup for this year.
We'll keep it together tomorrow night and Saturday as well, and we expect wins, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Well, if I get 2, you guys probably got to have me back on.
All right.
How about that?
That
Sounds
sounds
good.
great.
Tyler, it's been a pleasure. Good luck this weekend.
Tyler
Thank
Rankin,
you.
thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you. There you go. Tyler Rankin, sprint car racer, running NRA 360s and 410s. And, yeah, in action. I got to make it so that I'm not the big person here. Here we go. Flip it back around. Yeah, coming up in just a little bit, we're going to speak with Rusty Schlenk, specifically about slide jobs and kind of what brought that up. Before we get to that, we do have some stuff from last weekend, actually, to get to. Got some pizza to give away. We still have a lot of stuff to get to, so we're going to try and fly through some of this stuff. So let's do that.
Racing Roundup.
Friday night, that 3,000 to win show, Rusty Schlenk picking up the win there. A little bit of controversy drummed up by a social media thing after that night. We'll talk about somebody brought that up on the Hammer Down hotline, strangely enough.
Really?
We'll talk about that a little bit later. Jamie Miller picking up the win in the 305s. Keith Sorg picking up a win there in the dirt trucks. Was that the one where they were like 3 wide or something?
No, that was Fremont.
Was that Fremont? Okay, that was Fremont. All right. Lima Land Motorsports Park, Dylan Westbrook picking up the NRA Sprint win on Friday night. Dylan Nussbaum, the modified winner, and Kyle Moore picking up the win in the Thunderstocks. Eldora, they had the, Let's Go 2 deal, the Friday night and Saturday. Friday night it was Logan Schuhart picking up the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Sprint Car feature win. Justin Grant picking up the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Car win. On Saturday, Rico Abreu picking up the win. CJ Leary, picking up the USAC Sprint Car win at Eldora there on Saturday. Also Saturday, Flat Rock Speedway. Justin Clotcherty? I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
I'm not sure.
We'll have to talk to Scott about that. Picked up the Outlaw Super Late Model win there. Jeremy Vanderhoof picking up the Street Stock A Main feature. Troy Bremer picking up the Street Stock B Main. And Greg Stude, the Figure 8 winner.
What a surprise.
Yeah. Oakshade Raceway, of course, not getting things started. Track was still too wet, soggy. We'll go with soggy from previous weekend's rain. Fremont Speedway last week in action. Cap Henry picking up the 410 feature win there. That was his 13th career win. Jamie Miller, again, made it a sweep for the weekend, picking up the 305 feature both at Attica and Fremont. Jimmy Holcomb picking up the dirt truck feature win that by 0.025 seconds over Dave Gumby Jr. and Dustin Keegan. I guess those were the three guys that were battling on
Scott,
Saturday.
that was the most amazing race. Dave Gumby led a good share of the race. I think he
was a proud papa, that's why.
He is. He didn't want to mess anything up. But he made the wrong choice on the lap car. The other two cars had the opportunity to get up next to him. It was a drag race off of turn 4, and you couldn't tell who won. It was an amazing feature.
Nice. That's usually the last feature there for him too. So reason to stick around to the very end.
And
very final checker flag.
It was far and away the best race of the night.
Sandusky Speedway also racing on Saturday. Clayton Oliver, name we never mentioned. He picked up the Renegades feature win. Brooke Tucker won the big beginner stock feature. Rich DeWitt Jr. was the pure stock feature winner, and Brandon Bailey winning the All-American Iron, brand new class out there at Sandusky.
Right. Big cars.
Yep. Butler Motor Speedway, Tyler Rankin, we just spoke with. He picked up the 410 win. Chad Bauer is winner in the modifieds. Cody Connor, the street stock winner. And Ryan Crocker picking up the win in the 4 cylinders. Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series last Thursday night at Atomic Speedway. Hudson O'Neill picking up the win. They went to Ponderosa Speedway on Friday night. Mike Marlar picking up the win there. Saturday is the Ralph Latham Memorial at Florence Speedway in Kentucky. And Ricky Thornton Jr. picking up the win on Saturday night. In World of Outlaw Case Construction Late Model Series action last Thursday, Mississippi Thunder Speedway, Brandon Shepard and Kate Diller picking up the win. Was that last weekend? Or did I forget to take that off? Now I can't remember.
Dave.
I want to say that was the weekend before. Because, I'm pretty sure that was because heavy rain forced the cancellation for the rest of that. That was the Dairyland Shootout. Yeah. World of Outlaw Now Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. Maybe that was last weekend. Man, my weeks get all confused. I'm all messed up. Wednesday, the Gettysburg Clash. Actually, last night, matter of fact, Lincoln Speedway, Anthony Macri picking up the win in World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series action. Arc Menard series in action at Kansas Speedway. That was not last. Yeah, that's what I thought. I forgot to take that off. Thanks, Dave. That was my fault. I don't blame Dave for that one. Jesse Love picking up the win in the Arc Menard series event. Truck series action, NASCAR Truck Series, that is Saturday. Grant Infinger picking up the Heartbeat of America 200 win at Kansas. Denny Hamlin picking up the win in a little bit of a controversial. It was actually a pretty good race. I watched parts of it on Sunday afternoon. The Cup Series race and Better Health 400. Denny Hamlin, I don't know what he got into Kyle Larson on the backstretch of the final lap. Larson was leading, and Hamlin went on to win.
It was certainly not a slide job.
It was not a slide, no, because he hit him in the rear. Dirty?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
2 drivers going for the win, I guess, right?
Scott,
some people race clean. Some people will do whatever it takes to win.
And I saw a lot of comments, well, rubbing is racing. Bullshit. Rubbing is racing is a quote from a movie. Rubbing is not racing. If you've got to dump somebody to win, expect it to be paid back.
Fair enough. Last night, Casserole Flow Racing Night in America at Spoon River, Dennis Erb Jr. picking up the win there, and that's going on tonight, as a matter of fact, at where is it? Lincoln Speedway tonight, I believe. Well, it's in our Big D's Pizza racing menu coming up here. We'll talk about that. Contact Freeze Frame Photos for all your racing photo needs, from action shots to victory lane. They're working on even more custom gift items with freeze frame photo pictures on there. Freeze Frame Kids Night returning to Oakshade Raceway this summer. The first 50 kids coming through the gate will get a ticket. They can redeem at any time during the night for a free 4x6 photo. Sponsorships of that, just $50. Call Charlie, 419-476-9978. I'm not sure if he has any left. I know last week he had like 2 left. And I'm not sure where that stands, but give Charlie a call. Or if you just want some photos or arrange a custom photo shoot, he'll do that too. 419-476-9978. Freeze frame photos, special moments frozen in time, and Ron Miller race cars. Lambertville, Michigan, 734-856-7223. Every night is spoken for, I see he just said. So.
That's great, Charlie. Congratulations.
That's good. There's going to be lots of kids with photos. I remember I was a kid. I used to be pretty excited about that. But anyways, give Ron a call. Race cars, parts, safety equipment, service, pretty much advice, whatever. He doesn't even sell that. He'll give that away for free sometimes. 734-856-7223. Before we get to Rusty here, how about we do a little bit of racing news?
Latest racing news.
Buddy Kofoid and Crouch Motorsports have parted ways. Kofoid had been running a part-time World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series schedule. He earned a win at Talladega Short Track and notched 10 top 10 finishes in 15 starts. He was also competing in the High Limit Sprint Car Series. The very next day, it was announced that Corey Eliason has been named to take over that ride in Crouch Motorsports.
You know, if there's anything consistent in sprint car racing, is that there's nothing consistent.
And speaking of that, Parker Price Miller has decided to part ways with McCandless Motorsports on Sunday afternoon. He scored a victory for McCandless team at Atomic earlier this year. He said he might run his own car and try some late model stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, I figured I'd get your attention. Okay, this was fun. Back to the Cup race on Sunday. With 66 laps to go in Sunday's Cup race, Noah Gragson and Ross Chastain ran 3 wide with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as Chastain exited turn 4. He ran wide. Gragson was on the outside. Gragson ran into the wall, and as Gragson bounced off the wall, he turned left and rubbed into the right. That'd be the left side of Chastain in frustration. Both drivers were able to keep rolling. No caution was thrown. With 62 laps to go, that was 4 laps later, Gragson spun with a flat tire. After the race, the two drivers talked about it. In quotes, yeah. And this is what happened. And if you listen close, you can actually hear the punch landing on Noah Gragson's face. Here you go. So Gragson's walking up to Chastain in the pit road. Chastain's just kind of can't really hear what they're saying. It's just where Gragson grabs him and he's saying, "Stop." Pop. And before Gragson can respond in kind, the officials stepped in and kind of break things up there. And also, I don't like Gragson's haircut. I know it was like a bet that he lost or something. I don't like that haircut. It's not working for me. I don't know. So, yeah, and I guess there was no fines from that. That was a nice, clean shot that he landed, though.
Have at it, boys, is alive and well.
I guess so. Yeah, and I didn't think I watched the incident, I guess. I mean, he ran him up high, but he left him room. He didn't run him into the wall, I don't think, but I don't know.
It's that arrow thing again.
That could be, yeah. Ryan Newman, 18-time NASCAR Cup Series race winner, has joined Rick Ware Racing for select races this season. Recently named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers, Newman will make his first start with the team at Darlington this weekend. Ooh. And I did read that he doesn't want to run the bigger tracks. Darlington's the biggest track he's going to run, I guess. Okay. Because he doesn't think the new car is safe.
And he's a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, and he's been in some pretty wild. He's got 2 bars named after him already in the roll cage, and he doesn't want a third. So cool to see Ryan Newman back, though. That's here's another cool thing: the XR Super Series late models announced a 1,000. The name of the event's the 100,000 upgrade coming to Kokomo Speedway.
Really?
Monday, June 12th. Late model race paying $100,000 to win, $2,000 to start.
Wow.
Yeah. Think any drivers from this area will make the trip to Kokomo?
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah, for that. I'd imagine that's going to be a pretty big show for them. Well, assuming they can get there on a Monday night. That's the unfortunate part about it.
Depends on how the weekend goes.
Yeah, that's true. So, that was just announced. Pretty big deal. Again, that's June 12th at Kokomo Speedway. Officials from the ASA Stars Tour announced they will not be able to accept any more entries for the ECMD 150 that takes place at North Wilkesboro on May 16th after the entry list. Actually, I think the article I read said the entry list had reached 50, but then I saw the entry list and it's got 55 drivers on it.
So they've capped it at 55.
Yeah, as of Tuesday, it had 55. Yeah, lack of space has led to the cutoff. The list of drivers already entered. Some of these names are, Eric Jones, Johnny Sauter, Chase Elliott, Carson Hocevar, Chandler Smith, Noah Gregson. I wonder if he'll get punched again. Grant Infinger, probably not because, what's his face? Chastain's not there. Ty Majeski and Daniel Suarez among the 55 drivers.
Definitely some names there.
For ASA, I believe that's, what is it, the All-Star Weekend?
Right.
So a lot of people getting into the nostalgia of North Wilkesboro. Pretty cool. And that's it for the news. Should we do our Rusty Schlenk here thing?
Sure, let's talk to Rusty.
We'll do the Rusty thing here, and then we'll get back with the Hammer Down Hotline and give away some Big D's Pizza right after that.
Sounds good to me.
You don't want to miss the Hammer Down Hotline. It's some good stuff this week. So let's talk to Rusty. So we got Rusty Schlenk with us. Look, I saw a post on his Facebook that kind of inspired this topic that I kind of wanted to touch on.
Scott, there's been a lot of stuff interesting on the internet.
There has,
lately.
but in particular, slide
This
jobs. There was an incident, I guess, was it at Highland a couple weeks ago?
If you're talking about my incident, yes, that was at Highland.
Yeah. That was, and there was a comment on there. One of the comments said, what is what's
a good slide job?
What counts as a good slide job? What counts as a bad slide? And I thought that was
we
kind of
know what a
interesting.
bad slide job is because there's contact.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to get some racers' opinions on this, and I thought you might be a good one. You've had quite a few experiences with slide jobs yourself on the receiving and giving end. First, I guess, just in case anybody doesn't know exactly what a slide job is, Rusty, I'm going to let you kind of explain what is a slide job, and how do you execute it?
Well, there's lots of ways to execute it, just whether it's good or bad. No, a slide job is when you pass another car without just pulling out a line and driving around them like a normal pass would be, like down a highway. I mean, you generally they're on a one-lane top dominant track where everybody's kind of running the top, and there's no good way to pass. So you get a run the previous corner, you kind of set them up for it, and you get a run in the previous corner and make sure you got enough speed going down the straightaway where you can tuck underneath of them and slide in front of them and kind of slide up and take their line away. I mean, the way people do it, I think, is where the controversy is. I mean, to pull off a good slide job, obviously you want to be able to overtake them and not let them gain the spot back or cross you over and pass you back, but you also don't want to completely make them check up or have to hit the wall or spin themselves out or any of the above.
We've seen some of those slide jobs where they go back and forth, and they're pretty exciting.
It seems like watching midget races. Those guys are. It seems since they're so small, I think it's easier. Is it? I obviously I don't think you've had any midget car experience, Rusty, but would it be easier in a smaller vehicle?
Oh, for sure, because they're more maneuverable. Midget races are good for slide jobs because they're so small and they can change direction a lot quicker. So the slide jobs can be a lot tighter. You don't have to clear them by as much. There's a lot more room to check up and turn back under them, and it just makes for good racing. But the bigger the car gets, the harder it is, obviously, when you're carrying a bunch of speed if somebody does pull a bad slide job, to check up and try to maneuver around them, because we got a 20-some 100-pound race car we're trying to change directions with in a hurry.
So you follow somebody around the high side, get a good run coming off the corner, and drive in significantly deeper than them, and then slide up in front of them. Do you ever get bit by running in much deeper than normal?
So, yeah, I mean,
and that's why the spoilers break away, right?
Right. I mean, there's two ways to fail on a slide job. You can overshoot the slide job, and put yourself in the wall or jump the cushion and lose all your momentum. Or you can undershoot the slide job, which is what happened to me, and come across the other guy's nose and wreck both of you, or wreck him, or wreck yourself. Generally, a good slide job, in my book, I mean, everybody's got a different opinion on it, but I race all over the country. I race with a lot of different people. I've raced with pretty much everybody that's ran a dirt late model in the country. I feel like I probably raced with them at one point. So I've seen everybody's driving styles. In my book, a good slide job is a slide job where you clear the other car with enough speed and in the proper position where it gives them a chance to either check up and not run into you and not affect their, not make them have to take evasive action and hit the wall or run into you or spin themselves out. As long as you clear them and don't affect their race in any way other than maybe making them have to check up and hit the brakes or slow their momentum down a little bit, to me, it's a good slide job.
Let me ask you this. As far as the driver that's being passed on the receiving end of the slide job, two parts to this question. Is it expected of them to kind of to lift a little, or
check up?
Yeah. They see you coming, and I've seen a lot of times where a slide job is performed, the car clears them, but the guy behind just doesn't lift, and he says, "I'm not slowing down," in his head, I guess, and takes him out. And then the other part of the question is, does the person you're passing, does that kind of play into whether how he races? Does that play into whether or not you're going to do a slide job?
And that's the biggest thing as a driver. And like that kind of goes like what I said with racing all over the country and knowing everybody's driving style. There are people that I will slide differently than other people. I'll give anybody a slide job, but how I do it depends on how the driver drives. Some guys will cross you over. Some guys will hit the brakes. Some guys will run into the back of you. So, it really just depends on it. It really just depends on the driver. But at the same time, for your question a minute ago, I feel like when I'm giving a slide job, it's my job to give the other guy the opportunity to cross me over, or at least get his car slowed down and under control without screwing him up or screwing me up, or both. So if I go in there and I know and I didn't clear him, and I didn't give him an opportunity to get slowed up or cross me over, then he runs in the back of me and spins me out, that's my own fault at that point. I'm not mad at that guy for what happened there, which is exactly what happened with me and Darren. Darren and I talked after the race and the next day, and he pretty much told me, I knew as soon as I pulled the trigger, I knew I wasn't going to clear you, but I was too committed at that point, and he said I just should have done it. I should have waited, and when you pull the trigger too early on it, there's just nothing you can do other than try to get through there as fast as you can, and then give the other guy an option to check up. And it was just a bad call on his part. He made a bad mistake, so what he did to me, I don't think it's any different than just overdriving the corner and running into the back of somebody and spinning them out. It's
right.
At that point, it's the same thing in my book.
It's been my experience that, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you're doing a slide job, you've got to get back to the throttle kind of quickly, because anytime you're on the throttle, you're in control. If you've got to do a slide job and get on the brakes, when you're on the brakes, the car's in control.
Correct. Yeah, you've got to, in order to do get everybody out of it in one piece, you got to get through there, and you got to get to the cushion, and you've got to get back on the gas as quick as possible. Because if you go through there on the brakes and you miss, like what Darren did, is he just completely missed. He didn't have a good enough run, and he drove through the slick. He didn't get turned down the track early enough, and he drove through the slick. And once he hit the slick, he was on the brakes, because if he would have stayed in the fuel, he'd have put himself in the wall and junked his boat. So at that point, he had to try to slow the car down to keep his car under control from hitting the wall. Well, when he did that, I was wide open on the cushion, and I didn't have any choice other than to lock the brakes up and run into the back of him and try to make damage as minimal as possible.
So how tough is it to master the art of a slide job? I mean, do you remember your first slide job?
He was
My
11.
first
He was
slide
11
job-
years old.
My first slide, it probably wasn't my first slide job, but the first slide job I remember ended up with Todd Nuding hanging upside down in the fence at Oakgate. So,
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but I'm glad you did. That was a slide job that you ended up hitting doors, right?
yeah, that was not that wasn't pretty.
That's how to do it wrong.
So that's an example of what not to do.
To clear things up a little bit about that one, it wasn't necessarily a bad slide job on my part. I couldn't figure. I shouldn't have done it because I couldn't figure out what was going on. I kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and the car wasn't turning good. Well, what had happened after we figured it all out a couple weeks later? That was back in the day when we ran the right front line locks for a shutoff, where you had to manually turn them on, where it was just an on-off valve. They didn't have a bypass. So I was a young driver. I think I was 13, 14 years old, whatever it was, and I didn't know better. So we had just put that right front line lock in there, and I didn't know back in the day, every couple laps, you had to open it up and bleed the pressure off, because as it built brake heat, it would lock up the right front caliper. So when I turned down underneath of him, my car didn't turn, and I took a hard right and ran right into his door.
Scott, if you ever see a car with the right front brake glowing, chances are they've got an old style ball valve, and that's what went wrong.
Well, I don't have this, so this is the first time I even knew this existed.
So that was we actually didn't find it till a couple weeks later, because it kept happening as the longer the race would go on. I kept doing the same thing, getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So I ended up figuring out why I flipped Todd Nuding, but I'm sure it doesn't make him feel any better about it.
So once you figured out and got the gremlins out of the way, I mean, how long did it take to master? I mean, how many failed attempts were there before you mastered the slide job, or at least feel comfortable?
Thankfully, I feel like I've probably given a few sketchy slide jobs in my day that I wouldn't say bad, but I feel like right off the bat, I had a pretty good grasp on making sure I have a bad problem where I usually overshoot the slide job. I'm the guy that goes on the overshoot instead of the undershoot, because I don't like, I like to race everybody clean. I like to leave everybody room. My slide jobs normally have so much room where I don't break their momentum enough. I give them plenty of room to cross over, which ends up in a slide job battle. So then you're crossing each other over every corner for the next few laps.
It makes it for exciting racing for the fans.
And it does, yeah. But I've always tried to be on the clean side of the slide jobs. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been some times where I've messed up. I've made the bad decisions before. But thankfully, my bad slide jobs have never really caused anybody to, other than the Todd Nuding incident, I can't really recall any that have really ruined somebody's night, you know what I mean? Or completely junked their car or anything like that. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've given some bad ones. I've had to apologize before, but usually there's nothing we're fighting about it.
So what track do you think that you've raced all over the place? What track lends for the best slide job battles?
Attica is one of my favorite racetracks. I can remember so many slide job battles at that place. It just me and Doug Brown and I have had plenty of slide job battles around that place. Me and Ryan Markham and I had some. There's just been a lot of good racing around that place. It's nice and wide, and it's always got a good cushion, something to lean on, so you don't have to break your momentum so bad on the sliders. So that place is always pretty fun.
All right, so
Rusty, we've got to let you go in just a minute. Where can our fans catch Rusty this weekend?
Well, the plan was Attica and Oakshade, but I don't. Weather's not looking good for Attica, so I'll try to have my car ready Tri-City tomorrow night. I was supposed to be in Tyler's car at Attica and Oakshade, but he's not going to have his stuff ready in time to go to Attica. So I'm going to try to car ready to be to Tri-City up in Michigan tomorrow night, and then probably be back down to Oakshade for Saturday as long as the weather's good.
That's why you agreed to be on the show so that you could go out and win the next race.
Well, duh.
So in conclusion, just to wrap up our slide job talk, clean slide jobs, no contact, not causing the car you're passing to have to check up too much. I mean, I'm guessing some slowing down, once you're there, just so you don't run into them, is kind of acceptable. Is this a correct assumption?
That's my take on it. Everybody feels different. I mean, if somebody gives me a slide job, even if I have to break my momentum and slow the car down and get on the brakes and turn underneath of them, it doesn't upset me. I mean, that in my mind is a good slide job. I mean, that's their goal, is to slide in there, break my momentum, make me have to change my line. But as long as they give me adequate room to do that, I'm not mad about it. I only get mad when they don't give me any option other than crash.
Now, let me ask you this too. To one step further, there's the defense for slide jobs. You talked about leaving it open so that they could cross back over, which is great. But if you don't want that car to cross back over, is it frowned upon to kind of dive low into that next corner after you did a slide job to try and break, the guy behind you from pulling a slide job on you?
Yeah, well, I actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That's kind of the ticket to master the slide job is to be able to block the next one, especially when you get in a slide job battle. I had to teach Colin that. Last year at Attica. Colin and I kind of got in a little slide job battle, and I slid him, and he tried crossing me over down the back straightaway, and I ran him down into the next corner. It's just one of those deals where you have to kind of come down the track, and we call it in sliding yourself is what we as racers.
Okay.
We gave ourselves a slide job. You know what I mean? We come down the track and we almost act like we're giving another slide job just to make that, to break their momentum and not let them get that run underneath of us. Leave them a lane down there. I mean, you don't just come across their nose and make them have to check up. We just kind of squeeze them down a little bit and drive in extra hard and take that slide job line away. So it breaks our momentum, but it also breaks theirs. So whoever gets to that cushion first it will end up winning the battle of that deal on the next lap.
And the whole point of that is then to try and get some separation from that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, you got to kill their because when you give a slide job, it leaves you vulnerable because the other car can turn down the track and you're kind of sliding up the track, so they get a run on you and they can cross you back over and slide you in the next corner. So you've got to do something to try to break their momentum to keep them from doing it back in the next corner.
Especially when the wall has a little contact with the right rear of your spoiler, that scrubs off a bit of speed.
Not much.
Unless you do it right, that's that helps. That helps get you turned in the right direction a little quicker if you get to that wall soon enough.
You just push off the wall.
Yeah.
All right, Rusty, we appreciate the time and the clinic on slide job technology.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun.
Cool.
All right, man. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've talked about slide jobs tonight.
Yeah. It's a switch back here. Let's do a hammer down hotline here. This is you'll like this one, I think. Let me get rid of this. I think that's the one. There we go. Hammer down hotline. First, we'll go through our call here before we get to the text.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hammer Down Hotline.
Gentlemen, I have answers for your questions. Your question week before last was who invented or who started using the choose cone first? Well, that would be the famous Bowman Gray Stadium. They were the first track to start using it. And then me personally, the first time I went to Bowman Gray Stadium almost 20 years ago, they were using it even back then.
Wow.
So I'm not sure when they started using it, but they are credited with the original track of using this choose cone. So there you go. And it's going to be a beautiful weekend for racing somewhere. Maybe not where you're at, but somewhere.
So it's definitely a short track thing. It's not something that NASCAR invented.
But isn't Bowman Gray a NASCAR track, though?
Yeah, but it's short track.
Well, yeah. definitely short track thing. All right, so that's our call from the Hammer Down Hotline. If you want to call and leave a message at any time, answer any of our questions, do some investigative reporting for us. There's, again, the number 419-318-3081. Call or text anytime, day or night. Speaking of the text part, we did get a text here.
Really?
This is for you. You ready? I'll read this here.
Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. You're not going to put, you can't put it up.
Well, I suppose maybe next time I take a picture of it. Ron, is Ryan Missler on Steve Miller's Christmas card list? And he went on to say, Ryan did get into Steve, but Steve couldn't hold a line. So I'm just going to let you field that and have fun.
Okay. I'm
if you want to give some background on what happened, in case people aren't familiar with the incident.
Okay. Steve in the Lightning McSteve number 95 started on the pole of a heat race. Top 4 cars all qualified within a couple hundredths of a second of each other. Going down into turn 1 on the green flag, a car dove under Steve, kind of pushed him up a little bit. So they were all bundled up 3 wide, going back into turn 3. And Ryan...
Are you trying to be politically correct?
Like I care. No,
I'm
just trying to call it like I saw it.
Okay.
I think Ryan was a little quick back to the throttle and got into the back end of the 95 car and definitely turned him around. The part, Scott, that and I'm not trying to be critical.
I think I saw what you're talking about. My opinion was it was kind of a racing deal.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah. But the part that kind of got under your skin was after that.
Well, prior to that, even the headline on his Facebook page was, "I didn't dump him." And then he went on to say somebody that was a second and a half slower and subpar equipment, and those kind of things really offended me. And in the racing community, you've got to watch your words. You really do, because your words, just like your actions, can come back and haunt you. I made a post. I made some comments, and I thought I kept it relatively civil. But boy, it started a whole thread of back and forth on that.
Yeah, I received a few messages and even a call about, did you see this? I'm like, yeah. And I always, for those kind of things, that little Michael Jackson animated GIF, he's just eating popcorn, sitting in the movie theater. Yeah. That's me watching all the people comment.
No, the weatherman may not be real kind.
Well, we're not
on
not
Friday, but
you want to do the weekend weather pit stop already?
No.
Okay.
But if Ryan is at Oakshade on Saturday, I'll probably go over and buy a T-shirt.
Okay. I know he appreciated everybody watching his video.
Yeah.
His videos, he does a lot of those. So
and hopefully Amber has.
And Ryan's been on the show. He's been and used to get
and hopefully Amber has some of her treats, and I'll certainly buy some of Amber's sweet treats.
Okay. But no Christmas. Well, did Steve say anything, or I don't know if you want to say
be very
anything.
honest, after the entire Facebook thing blew up, Ryan called Steve, and they made nice.
Okay. So they talk things out.
I can't say that there's still some ruffled feathers.
They're not buying each other Christmas cards yet, but they made nice.
It may get that way.
Oh, okay. I don't buy you a Christmas.
No.
I don't buy anybody a Christmas card. Who does that anymore?
Actually, we do.
Oh,
that's
well, okay.
We're kind of old school.
It's like,
but don't go there.
I'm not. Yeah. How about we give away some pizza? Are you done, or are we good?
I could be done.
Okay, we'll give away some pizza here. Let's.
I was very pleased that Ryan called Steve.
Well, then that's good to know.
And they had a nice discussion.
Okay. Rock on.
How many?
Let's give away some Big D's Pizza. Last week's how many was how many NRA sprints were going to be at Lima Land on Friday night. That number was 27.
Ooh.
You picked 22. I said 23. So I got close. That means I have to go first this week. Yeah. And one person guessed the exact number.
Really?
You'll never guess who.
Dave Kemmer?
He's on the wall behind you there.
Brian Hammer?
Brian's not on the wall.
I can't see.
Oh, John Young.
Oh, really?
John Young picked 27. So he was the only one to guess the exact right number. So congratulations, John Young. You have 30 days to pick up another Big D's pizza. Boom. Yes. This week's how many? Here, let's get that up on the screen for you. This one I do have for you. How many of the Oakshade Attica late models will be at Oakshade? How many Oakshade Attica late models Saturday? I didn't put at Oakshade, but yeah, that's at Oakshade on Saturday night.
Yeah, because
It's
Attica's
that late model
Attica
series. Yeah, they're at
they
Attica on
were
Friday.
They were last week.
No, this is this week.
Attica?
Yeah.
Attica was last week.
Well, they have late models this week too. I got it right here.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, the this week's how many late models will be at Oakshade on Saturday night for that 2000 to win show too. A little bit of a elevated prize for that. And I have to guess first. So,
You're stalling.
Dean's saying 0. He tends to be right a lot. I mean, it is. We got that weekend weather pit stop. Maybe we should do the weekend weather pit stop before we do this. But I'm going to go with. I'm going to have to be optimistic and go against John and Dean. I like Charlie and Doug's guess there. I'm going to go right in between them, about 32. 32 is my number.
That would. Even on a good night, I think 32 is optimistic.
I'm pretty optimistic.
I could really be bad and go 31, but I'm going to try to nail it and say 27.
Okay.
Going
with the number of NRA sprints at Lima Land last week.
Absolutely.
All right. It was a winning number. So, again, if you would like to win a chance or have a chance at a Big D's Pizza, to win a Big D's Pizza, just put your guess in the comments of our Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or if you're listening to us on the podcast, not live, you can just pull us up on Facebook, go to our Thursday night Facebook Live, and put your guess in, as long as it's before 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern, local time.
Okay.
So you have time to get in on that. And if you're smart, I would say don't guess yet, because once you guess, you're locked in. You can't change it. So if you're smart and you wait and see what the weather's going to do, you might wait and put your guess in Saturday afternoon. Just don't forget to do it. Otherwise, you could miss out. So, I mean, I'm just sharing some strategy there that might help some people out. Before we do get to that Big D's, or that's not Big D's, before we do get to the weekend weather pit stop, let's do our Big D's pizza racing menu.
This weekend's Big D's Pizza Racing Menu.
So, Friday night, a lot to choose from here. We got Lima Land, the Mark Streaker Memorial, USAC D2 Midgets, UMP Modifieds, Thunderstocks, the Dirt Track Truck Series.
Ooh.
Yeah, gates open at 5, racing at 7:30. General admission just $12 there at Lima Land. Also Friday night, Attica Raceway Park. It's the Eric Phillips 35th Anniversary Classic, AFCS 410 Sprints, the Attica Oakshade Late Model Challenge Series, and the AFCS 305 Sprints. Gates open at 5, racing at 7:45. General admission tickets there for adults, $20. And also Friday night, you got Toledo Speedway with their opener. Yeah. Central Avenue Truck Parts School Bus Figure 8 Race night featuring Kenny Schrader. You're going to have boat figure 8s, factory stocks, late model sportsmen, and flagpole race going on. Gates open at 5, racing at 7 p.m. And general admission tickets for adults, $20 there. There is a rain date, so this may be enacted depending what the forecast does tomorrow. They'll do it the following Friday if they do get rained out May 19th.
I wonder if Schrader would...
If he'll come back.
Does Schrader have a rain date?
I don't know. That I don't know, but we could find out. Saturday, I was told I should put this on our list, sort of not really racing related, but the Epworth Methodist Church right there in Central, they're having a Touch a Truck event on Saturday morning.
Can you get there?
Yeah, I can get there. Right,
okay,
it's down Corey.
Oh,
it's Central. I don't have to cross the bridge. If you're coming from The other side, like Reynolds
Reynolds
Road area,
Road,
you can't.
you
The
gotta
bridge
go
is
around the
closed there
block.
at Central. Yeah, but Touch a Truck event, the Ocho will be out there. I was out there last year. It's a pretty cool event.
Yeah.
There's some good food. I get donuts and stuff. That's the reason I go, because they give me
Oh,
free
yeah,
food.
Free food.
Yeah. But if you want to come sit in the Ocho, that's cool. You got to be a kid, though. This is for kids mostly. There's going to be like fire trucks. They have the Army had like this little fake jet thing. There's all kinds of different vehicles that are
So
out
if
there.
a good-looking lady wanted to climb in the Ocho, you'd tell her no?
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. It depends on how big she is.
Okay.
If she fits, it might be all right. We'll see. But that's from 10 to 2. The Ocho will be out there, and possibly Lightning McQueen.
That's what I understand.
And there may be another race car or two out there as well. But fire trucks, like all kinds of different
Sure.
vehicles for kids. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
And donuts.
And I think that's just for us, the people that bring the cars out. But they do lunch. I think they make like hot dogs and hamburgers, and they have those for sale for
Cool.
fundraiser. So, yeah, and it was pretty good. Later in the day, though, racing events, Flat Rock Speedway, they will have the Outlaw Super Late Models, Figure 8 Street Stocks. Gates open at 2, racing at 4. So it's the last early start for Flat Rock Speedway. General admission tickets, $15. Oakshade Raceway, it's their opening night with the Oakshade Attica Late Model Challenge Series, $2,000 to win. Sportsman, Dominator Super Stocks, and Compacts also in action. Gates open at 4, racing at 7. General admission, $14. Fremont Speedway also in action on Saturday night. It's Auto Condition Night, featuring the AFCS 410 Sprints, AFCS 305 Sprints, and the exciting dirt trucks. Gates open at 4, racing at 7 p.m. General admission, $18 there. Sandusky Speedway in action Saturday night with the Pure Stock Challenge, Renegades Beginner Stock, and All-American Iron. Gates at 4, racing at 7. General admission, $5. Still, I mean, that's not like a special. That's like their regular admission. It was $1 the week before. $5.
Right.
Sandusky Speedway amazes me.
Good deals.
Yeah. And then also Saturday night, Butler Motor Speedway in action. You can check out our guest we had on earlier tonight, Tyler Rankin, and his wife. Both will be racing there in 410 Sprints. UMP Modifieds in action, Street Stocks Midwest Compact Touring Series. Gates open at 4:30, racing at 7:30. General admission, $15 there at Butler. Other racing action this weekend, Illinois Late Model Speed Week continues with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, the Farmer City 74 at Farmer City Raceway on Friday, May 12th, and Falls Spring Shootout at Fairbury Speedway in Fairbury, Illinois on Saturday. Tezos All-Star Circuit of Champions, they're in action at Jacksonville Speedway, Jacksonville, Illinois on Friday night, and then Wilmot Raceway in Wilmot, Wisconsin, Saturday, May 13th. That's this Saturday. World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. They'll be at Williams Grove Speedway in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Friday and Saturday for the Morgan Cup. NASCAR Crafts and Trucks Series. They'll be running the Shriners Children 200 at Darlington on Saturday. 1:30 start on that, 1:30 in the afternoon. That'll be on Fox. NASCAR Xfinity Series, Buckle Up, South Carolina 200. That'll be, I think I got those mixed up. I think it's the Shriners thing is the Xfinity Series. The Truck Series is the Buckle Up thing on Friday night, 7:30 on FS1. And the Cup Series in action, Darlington, the Goodyear 400 on Sunday, May 14th, 3 o'clock on FS1.
Too tough to tame.
Yeah, there'll be some Darlington
Should be a
stripes, I'm
good
sure.
show.
Yeah, that's a place where Chastain should be able just to ride the wall all the way around.
Would think, yeah.
It would work out good there.
You know, he made a move, and he didn't ride the wall in the Cup race, but he was just inches off of it, and he passed like 3 cars last week.
Larson was running right up against the wall, too.
I had to look to make sure that he didn't do his rim right again.
NTT IndyCar Series in action as well. That'll be on Saturday. It's the GMR Grand Prix on the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 3:30 p.m. Saturday on NBC. And Castrol Flow Racing Night in America will be happening next week. Marshalltown Speedway, Marshalltown, Iowa, on Tuesday, May 16th. And Davenport Speedway in Davenport, Iowa, on Wednesday, the 17th. And finally, the High Limit Sprint Car Series back in action at Wayne County Speedway over there in Orrville, Ohio, on Tuesday night, May 16th as well. A lot of going on.
Yeah.
That was a long menu. A lot to choose from.
Was.
You could really get filled up on
and with
racing.
all the midweek shows that are being scheduled,
it's like racing's a full-time
it really
thing.
is.
How's our weekend weather pit stop looking?
Scott, there's some thunderstorms coming through tomorrow, and it's not just rain. These are thunderstorms coming in northern Indiana, northern Ohio, Michigan, southern Michigan especially.
I need to get you like a weather map too, so you can like point to this stuff.
Yeah, it's going to rain
on Friday.
On Friday, Saturday, there's going to be rain in the morning. It's going to clear up. It's just a matter of how much of that rain hangs around.
How much falls on Friday?
It's really a matter of timing. It's one of those things where people are going to be wondering why the track canceled if they got too much rain, because it's going to be beautiful.
By Saturday night.
By Saturday afternoon,
Evening,
yeah. 2-3 o'clock Saturday will be nice. But if the tracks are flooded, the parking lots are flooded, could be a problem.
Yeah, so make sure you check out whatever track you plan to go to this weekend, their social media or their website, just to make sure that things are still running as scheduled.
Can I take a minute to debunk some information going around the Speedway? And I haven't even talked to you about this.
Sure.
There's a lot of rumors going around
Speedway?
that Millstream Speedway has been sold.
Oh, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Millstream Speedway has not been sold. I talked to Greg Rowe at length, which is no surprise. He had someone interested last fall. They kicked around some numbers, some possibilities. Greg kind of thought that they had an agreement, but it never happened. Now, Greg did say that he would entertain offers on the racetrack, but it would have to be with the consideration that it will be a racetrack. He will not sell it for farmland. He will not sell it for a housing development. Don't throw money at him, because it will remain as a racetrack. Sort of the rumors going around saying that Millstream has been sold. No.
That's good to know, because I've heard rumors to the contrary of that he would just take money and turn it into a farm.
No.
So, but that's good.
And that's straight.
And I've spoken to the promoter, former promoter. I guess technically he's still he's the promoter in waiting, Scott Warner, who was the one who left that message last week on the Hammer Down hotline. I was like, holy crap, because it doesn't. When people call, I don't have numbers saved in that number, so it doesn't tell me.
They could disguise their voice a little too.
Well, yeah, it's hard to tell, but yeah. Anyway, and he said that he's still interested in being a promoter. So
well, and Greg gave him a lot of credit for all the improvements that have been made at the track. And Greg did say that really the only thing lacking right now is the gate on the backstretch.
So did he say why he hasn't gotten that fixed yet? Did you ask him that question?
I did not.
Next time you talk to him.
Maybe Scott didn't get it fixed. I don't know.
Well, okay. I don't want to get into that. Don't want to get in the middle of that. So at this point.
But it's just good to know that Millstream, in its future sometime, will be a racetrack.
Sometime in the future. Can't say when, but
yeah. Hopefully
it's sooner than later. Thanks again to our guest, Tyler Rankin, Rusty Schlenk. Yeah. It's been a much longer show than I had anticipated.
Yeah, that's an hour and 40 minutes. You folks will never get back. We hope you join us.
Hour and a half.
Hope you join us again next week, and we'll do it again.
Thanks to associate producer Dave Kemmer, contributors John Young, Matt Swanner. Make sure to like us on Facebook. It really does help us. If you don't like us on Facebook yet, please do. Follow us on Twitter at Hammer Report and on our YouTube. If you do all three, that's great. Listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. If you can't make the 7 o'clock Thursday night deal, it's you just download it first thing in the morning or later Thursday night. Listen to it when you're working the next day or what. That's what Perry does. He is working the field. He'll listen to us on Apple Podcasts. So, hey, Perry, former what was that segment we used to have with him? The tow truck. We had the lights and everything. That was like my favorite part of the show when we first started.
It was fun.
It was a lot of work he found out. But
he needs to do it occasionally anyway.
Yeah. Check us out at hammerdownracingreport.com. And as always, rate, review us, Share us with your friends. Thanks to everybody who does that already. Thanks again to our sponsors, DCR Graphics, Big D's Pizza, Oakshade Raceway, Ron Miller Race Cars, Freeze Frame Photos, Headhunters Barber Studio and Salon. And if you are a flatbed trucker looking for a job, again, get a hold of me as soon as we're off the air here.
Class A license.
2 years experience is all you need. You can start working tomorrow, pretty much. I think you might have to pass like a drug test.
For what sounds like pretty good money.
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, it's more than I make. So, yeah.
And you're trying to hire them.
Yeah. And I think the hours are pretty decent, too. I can give you all the details on that. Just get a hold of me somehow. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of the Hammerdown Racing Report, send us a message or call the Hammerdown hotline, 419-318-3081. And, yeah, that's it. We're going to get out of here and go watch some Castrol Flow Racing Night in America. It's going on right now, I believe.
It's about time.
Yeah. We'll see you next Thursday, 7 o'clock. Get out and support your local track this weekend. There's a lot to choose from. Get out and support multiple ones.
Thanks for hanging in there with us, folks. We
See ya.
appreciate it.
You have been listening to the Hammerdown Racing Report, available on demand on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platform.